This little Murray rototiller sitting in the barn at my dad's for who knows how long. Looks like the carb's in here. Must have had a problem. Not running. So I'll clean this up, see if we can get her going. Alright, got it cleaned up. Check for spark. A bit of faint spark, so maybe I'll throw a little fuel in here to see if it kicks. Alright. The other thing I was looking at, I was washing this. Notice a little crud down in the end of this fuel nozzle. I tried blowing through here. Can't blow through there. There's a, on the end of this line, there's a, looks like one of those ceramic filters. I wonder if that's all clogged up. So I had, well, fuel line's all hard, crispy, so I got some fuel line. See if we can get that out, and that might have been the problem to begin with. Who knows? It's been sitting a while though. Here's the stuff. Looks like it was a Walboro carb. Take it apart and check the diaphragms in there. Hopefully I got some. That might be all right. Still pretty flexible.
Leave that gasket on.
I'm gonna go with this original. Still pretty flexible. I took the pull start housing off just to give it a little room. Got that governor plate up there. I think it goes that way. Figure out where that spring goes. I'm gonna take this throttle off to give you some more, better access to hooking that governor or that throttle spring on there. Huh. I have to check that out. I think I finally figured out how this linkage on this carburetor goes together. Of course, it all fell right out when I was moving it, but so this, I believe this goes onto the this paddle that sticks up in the housing here, and then it goes onto the throttle lever here. I think you got a fissure up in there. That goes in these slots. Gonna have to try to get that spring on there. And fish this spacer in here. There's a screen that goes on it. And then there's another spring. Another spring right there. Not quite sure where that goes, but I'll let you know when I figure it out. All right. I'm going with that big spring is hooked around the base of that paddle just to hold it up in here, and then the throttle lever goes through the hole in that shaft of that paddle, and then it goes into the throttle lever on the carb. And then when I put that lever from the steering handle on here, it actually holds the throttle closed, and that pulls it open when you pull the trigger. It's kind of backwards, but I'm gonna throw her back together and see if I can get her going. Not sure where I left off last night, but I had it. I think I had everything back together, and then this lever on the carb wasn't going back home to the idle position. So I hooked this spring up on this paddle. I don't know if you can see. Around that there's a little tab poking up on the shaft of it. Hopefully it looks like it's about to fall off right now. But that holds it in the idle position, and then when this spring comes down from the trigger on the handlebar, it holds it at idle, and when you pull the trigger, it pulls back, and that puts it to wide open. So that's how that kind of works, kind of reverse of what you would think. Let me throw this back on, put some gas in it, see if it'll fire. So putting this throttle cable on, this little housing, there's a bolt that bolts it on. There's a slot up here, or a peg on there that goes, there's a peg on the engine head that goes into a slot there, and this hole for this stud is slotted too. So I'm guessing what you do is you kind of preload the spring on here to push that tight against the idle screw, and then when you pull the trigger up here, it pulls back and releases it. So I'll preload that spring and snug that down and get after it. Alright. After monkeying with it to get it started, this spring kept falling off. I think I figured it out now. I think you have to go under that little peg there and around the shaft down there, and that keeps it from sliding off. And then when you pull the trigger up here, it seems to get it full throttle. Be nice if this spring was a hair tighter, but no fuel getting on that line. It didn't start before dinner there, and wasn't getting fuel into the carb. So I took it apart again, and it was I think the port going into the crankcase in order to pump the diaphragm was clogged up. So it wasn't pumping fuel. So here's what I got to figure out. I pull the throttle lever on the carb goes all the way to full throttle. If I start it, it only goes about a quarter inch. I don't know if that paddle's rubbing on the housing, or if the wind, if I got it mounted backwards. Not sure. Check it out.